I'm not paying a finder's fee for stolen property. Thief earns himself a felony instead. I had just moved to a new city for work and had been working here for about 3 months, so I am still pretty new to the area. My apartment complex, I would say, is in a nicer part of the city and is pretty well kept, so I didn't really expect anyone to go and try breaking into cars. I was set to travel and had a pretty early drive, so I had packed everything for my week-long trip the night before so I could get up and just get on the road. The next morning, I walk out to my car and see clothes off to the side of my car, and thinking it was weird, started to look around the car. Turns out my car had been broken into and was cleaned out. Out of the trunk, they took my laptop bag, which had both my personal computer and a government computer, 2 gym bags, one that had my work clothes and the other that had my workout clothes and personal hygiene stuff, and a backpack that had my Nintendo Switch and office supplies in it. They also took about $50 out of the console, where I keep change and random bills for parking. This obviously throws a wrench into my work travel, so I call my supervisor, explain the situation, and come back into work. It's my fault I left all that stuff in my car, so I had to go to our security/IT office and explain what happened and see what the next steps were to get a new work computer. During this meeting with the physical security manager, which was 3 hours after I found my car broken into, I get a call from a local number, and turns out this guy had found my laptops on the side of the road when he was coming home from visiting his mom. My bag had a contact me if found number. Conversation goes as follows. Guy: "Hey man, I found your laptop on the side of the road. I figured you'd want them back. They look pretty important." Government laptops are plastered with stickers with official jargon and returning instructions. Me: "For sure. I'm currently at work now, but I can come meet you or whatever works." Guy: "Yeah man, I'm just coming home from visiting my mom, so I'm trying to get home so I can relax." Me: "Cool, I can make it work. Can you text me your address and everything so I can just come to you?" Guy: "Yeah, I'll send it to you here in a second. It's also my birthday, so if you can get me some money for like a finder's fee or whatever, I think that would be cool." Me: "Yeah man, whatever you need. See you in a bit." As soon as I get off the phone, I call the local police in that area and explain that this guy is trying to extort money from me to get stolen goods back. They instruct me to meet him a few blocks away from the residence, and they will send a plainclothes cop and officers to act on my behalf, so I'm not in direct contact with the guy, just in case, since the situation sounds sketchy. I go and meet them, where they go to the residence. The guy is hesitant seeing the cop cars and takes a few minutes to return the bag, with the laptops in it. They bring the bag to me to identify the laptops, and everything's still there. I accept the bag and got my laptops and bag back. Easy enough. On the drive back to work, no more than 15 minutes later, this guy still had my number and starts going off. Bad, unreadable spelling, and all seething through text messages on how I could get the police involved. He was trying to be a good Samaritan, and he should have thrown my crap in the grabbig. So I did the normal thing and blocked the number. Now I'm still missing everything else, including the Nintendo Switch, which was in a case with 7 games. Important. I was originally going to take the loss on it and take it as a stupidity tax, since it was almost impossible to get back. However, something didn't sit right with me. With this guy thinking, if he did have it, he was going to try and sell it fast and cheap. I went on a Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, searching for a Switch for cheap, around the same location as his house. Bingo! The ad reads $200, Nintendo Switch with 7 games, and case slightly used, no charger or dock. Must be gone today. The location was enabled and was within 2 miles of his address. The phone number was the same, and the dock and charger were in my apartment. So I had a buddy of mine who lived in the city next over, contacting him, asking if he could hold on to it till tomorrow, since he wouldn't be in town until the next day, and he would pay him $300 instead. The dude agrees, and also gets him to read off all 7 games that were there. This was to buy us more time, so I could go coordinate with the police. The next morning, I get everything together to go make a case to the police to assist me with this. Police report, the Craigslist ad, the serial number from Nintendo, the screenshots of the text messages between him and my buddy. I make my case, and the police agree to do the same thing as the day before, and meet me somewhere else to go over what the plan was. I meet them, and go over his address, and what all I had been missing. These are different officers than the day before, and they recognize the address and the name. We found out this guy is known for this stuff, and is currently on probation. So we come up with a plan where my buddy will call us on his work phone so we can hear the conversation, and call him on his regular phone to see what's going on. The police use a playing card to go to this meetup spot, and acting like my buddy, scoop the guy up and get him caught up with the rest of the stolen goods. They were able to recover all my items, including my clothes and bags. He ends up going to jail and earns a new felony on his record for receiving stolen property. I think I would have lost the rest of it if I didn't do the digging on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. This guy's just an idiot. He made it really easy to get tracked down. I mean, the same number, same address, all the 9 yards. Although, that being said, I can kinda see the fact that most people who got robbed from probably would have done nothing, so I guess it's worked in the past and he thought it'd work again. Actor picks the wrong sound crew to mess with. Here's a little tale from my days working in the entertainment business. Very early on in my career, I managed to get a gig working as a sideshowman, a person hired in just to work the show, on stage electrics and follow spots on a major West End musical. Even though I was normally a sound engineer, the chance to work on a big show, in albeit a different capacity, was too good to pass up. When you're a youngster in this industry, you would be daft to turn down such an opportunity, because the experience gained is invaluable, even if it's not directly related to your primary skill set. We spent around 6 months working on the production fit-up. Most of the time, I was working on rigging lamps, running cables, installing additional dimmer racks, yada yada. Sometimes, I got to help out the sound crew rigging their kit, and thus got to know them quite well. Fast forward to a few months after opening night. Some of the electric showmen, including myself, had managed to pick up the occasional extra work assisting the daymen, crew who were primarily hired to do the theater. Doing lamp rounds. This is where you go round the entire theater, front and backstage, replacing burnt out lamps. Useful extra money. Thus, I happened to be in the theater well before the half-hour call, and was hanging out with the sound crew at the sound desk. There were 2 of them. We'll call them Peter and Chris. One would run the front of house boards for that night's show, while the other would do jobs like handing out the radio mics to the cast at the half, collecting them at the end, and troubleshoot any problems during the show. They'd also swap duties every day. So we hear the half called, and Chris goes off backstage with his box of radio mics to hand them out, while I carry on chatting to Pete. About 10 minutes later, we see Chris returning to the front of house desk, looking very distressed. Pete asked him what on earth was wrong. It transpired that the male juvenile lead had bollocksed out Chris for some utterly trivial problem, to the point where he had been reduced to tears. I should point out that this particular actor was not well liked by the crew because of his arrogance and holier-than-thou attitude. This did seriously not sit well with Pete at all. By this time, the audience was beginning to fill the auditorium, and you could hear the ambient chatter level going up. Pete then grabbed his headphones and parked one earpiece over his right ear, proceeded to punch in the pre-fade listen button for that actor's channel. A grin then crept over his face. He then brought the channel live and very slowly raised the channel fader. He handed Chris the cans, and a huge grin also spread across his face. Chris then handed me the cans, so I could hear what had amused him so much. I listened in to be confronted by the sound of the actor right in the middle of taking a full throttle dump. We're talking grunts and groans, and the level of flatulence quite the equal of the trumpets that flatten the walls of Jericho. Bear in mind that this sound is now being leaked into the auditorium, albeit at a level just barely perceivable to the audience. I glanced at the punters in the stalls and saw that quite a few people were looking around quizzically. I had to struggle to rein in my laughter at the delicious payback. But as it was getting close to Act 1, Beginners, I had to go off and take my station. So I high-fived my friends and went through the stage pass door to the Electric's crew room to be confronted by my colleagues falling about in hysterics. It was then that I became aware of a peculiarity with the show relay. For context, the show relay is a microphone front of house and a bunch of speakers all over the backstage and dressing room areas that allow cast and crew to listen in to the progress of a show. Due to a curiosity of its design, what was now just barely audible out front was now being hugely magnified backstage. The entire cast and crew, no matter where they were being subjected to the sounds of our actor dropping the kids off at the pool at practically full volume. For the rest of the show, the hapless idiot had to contend with the entire cast and crew, giggling uncontrollably whenever he went past, and all the while remained completely oblivious to the reason why, as the one place there were no show relay speakers was in the toilets. The best part is, since he had no idea, he probably assumed they were laughing at his performance the entire time, which probably crushed his spirits a lot more than our poor sound guy. Alrighty guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today. I hope you enjoyed the stories, and if you did and you're new around here, maybe consider subscribing. And if you really liked it, then maybe give it a thumbs up and a share. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.